Jerry, video games are the latest craze to sweep the country and most of the world, too. Millions of people are addicted to hours of gazing at electronic images on game screens in arcades and in their own homes. What makes video games so popular? Well, we search for an answer as we begin a special series on Video Fever, games people play.
What defines a game as replayable can be determined by a variety of things. Maybe it holds some cherished memories that hold a deep place in your heart. Maybe the game's story just has you coming back even though you already played through it 5 times. Or maybe you just really enjoy playing that game and can keep playing it over and over again with the same excitement as the first time. Now, this video is more focused on story games rather than multiplayer games that provide hours and hours of gameplay through the interactions of the varieties of people that you meet online.
Riot Shield! I'm a pussy that use Riot Shield!
But me personally, I've never really been the type of person to complete BioShock and then replay it with the same enjoyment I had on my first run. But I would be lying if I didn't say that I've completed Firewatch 4 times and enjoyed my experience each and every single time. Some games, especially those with story-driven gameplay, rely on the connection of the player and the characters in the game. Other games go through the route of adding on DLC to expand the story and replay of the game in order to fully experience the lore of the world. And now trust me, there have been many games that I've bought, played through once, and never even thought to pick up again. This isn't to say that they're necessarily bad games, just if Steam had an option to rent a game for a short period of time, the size of my library today would be very small. Now I'm going to go into some detail about these games and what actually makes them replayable in the eyes of myself. So if you haven't played any of these games that I listed, and I highly recommend that you do, please be warned of the spoilers from the following games. Firewatch is one of those games where you can replay it as many times as you want, have a variety of different conversations, end up with the exact same ending, but still feel like you've played through a different game. Now, unless you actually played Firewatch, it's pretty hard to explain just what this game does to you while you're playing through it. So I'm going to try my best as a player of the game and someone who's played through multiple times, give my interpretation of what the replayability of it is. So the game starts you off as a newly hired fire watchman named Henry. There's no last name, you're just Henry. You take this job to get away from your problems at home, and throughout the game, depending on the conversations you choose, you form a friendship with another ranger named Delilah. Now, I won't go too deep into the story because it's one of those games you really need to experience for yourself, but the game does a great job of making it seem like a horror game without actually doing anything that would make it a horror game. Nothing ever chases you or fights you, but the developers did a good job with sound designing an eerie atmosphere that makes you feel like you're in constant danger, even though the breathtaking environment the game throws you into says otherwise.
Oh my god, what the fuck is happening, Henry?
I played through this game at least 4 times, and every single time when it abruptly cuts into the multiple days later, I get chills down my spine. I don't know why, but it just, for me, the feeling that they've had to go through that for multiple days, and they've just had to be alone in that forest for that long sort of helps the idea that what they're going through is very isolated. I was so glad when the game decided to never show what Delilah looked like, because that to me really wasn't the important part of the story. I think it actually was more important for them not to show it because we were really never meant to see anyone else in the game. The closest we ever got was that black silhouette of the teens at the lake and that guy you meet when you're hiking through to your tower. And again, it goes back to making you feel isolated and really alone. But what they also do a great job of is filling in the blanks that we have of the small people we meet. The pictures strung throughout the game and the notes in the cache boxes were meant to fill in the blanks and really leave it to the player's imagination of what they think happened. I can't really recommend this game enough, but all I can say is that when you hit that start button, get ready for a truly game-breaking experience.
I love how they look at night. During the day it's just smoke, but when the sun is down, you can just get lost.
Yeah.
A game like SOMA is similar to Firewatch in a way that they both do a great job of storytelling and building a universe around the player. But SOMA does it in the way that incorporates the popular trait of jump scares as other horror games do. But in the same vein, they capture the emotional impact of a relationship throughout the game. A good example of this is what they did with the character Catherine. The game starts you off as Simon Jarrett, who the player doesn't really have a lot of information on. All we know is that he lives in Canada and is going in for a brain scan. When the brain scan is complete, he gets presumably transported into the future. Playing through the game, you notice that there's not a lot of humans around. The lack of humans is replaced by robots with human voices or just the voice memos you find throughout the station. Voice memos are basically like a human brain, but it records the snippet of the last memory before the brain was destroyed or deactivated.
Hey you, can you talk? Can you talk like the others? I'm gonna shut you down now, okay? Yeah, you're creepy as hell, so I'm gonna shut you down.
Later on in the game, you talk to a person named Catherine, which at the time Simon believes to be another human. She helps you to get to her station to meet up with her, but upon meeting her, Simon realizes that she is in fact just a scan of a human mind inside of a robot. Throughout the game, you'll encounter a variety of different robots, most unable to talk, but the ones that do seem to not understand that they're robots. If you try to explain to them that they are indeed a robot, they will deny and not understand what you're talking about.
Is this hard?
I think we're safe.
Oh, I was so worried something had gone wrong. I got scanned, like the others. And then I killed myself.
This has led to some theories on how exactly consciousness works in this universe, but there's a scene in the game that gives a good idea of how exactly it works.
That wasn't so bad. This trauma really got me worked up, bastard. What? Where did... Alice?
Mr. Wan, can you hear me?
Chun? Where's Alice?
She's fine. We don't have much time, Mr. Wan. I need the new security cipher.
What? Why? Why would you need that? This is the trick.
No, it's okay, I promise.
I knew you couldn't be trusted. None of this is real. But you won't break me, WoW. You hear me? You won't break me!
Did we just bring that guy to life? I mean, he's a perfect scan, meant for the Ark. He's the real deal. And we turned him off. Took it all away again.
Basically, the human mind is put on pause for a period of time, and when activated, the memory is reverted to when it was last activated. It's more or less like saving a game and picking off right where you left off. The game doesn't know that you turned it off and just continues from when it was activated. After you transfer Catherine into your Omni tool, you'll have this journey with her in order to somehow save humanity onto a flash drive and put it onto a ship that can be launched into space. This is to ensure the minds of humanity are alive and safe in deep space where it can thrive on inside of a simulation. There's a scene in the middle of the game where in order to progress in the game, you'll need to transfer your mind into a dive suit. But the only issue with that is that Simon doesn't exactly know how the procedure works. What ends up happening is Simon transferred his mind onto the robot but doesn't exactly know what he just did. The way Catherine explains is the perfect blend of realization and unsettlingness that both we as the player and Simon realize.
There must be something wrong. Can't you run a diagnosis or something?
What was that?
No, it's just...
Why was it still talking?
It's the same like before.
Catherine, why was he still talking?
That's how it works, you know that.
What do you mean?
You know it's not magic. You were copied. The sleeping Simon in the seat was copied, and now you are here, just like Simon lived on in Toronto.
God damn you, Kath. 2 Simons? There can't be 2 Simons.
What did you think would happen?
That you were gonna take my mind and put it into another body, like a brain transplant.
I'm sorry, it wouldn't work that way.
You realize how messed up this is?
Please, I didn't mean to upset you.
How did you expect me to react to this shit?
Please stop.
You're fucking disgusting.
The way Catherine explains is that you're either on the side of the coin that gets to live on in another body as a copy, or you're stuck in the original body to either be left alone to die, or to be shut down forever. The game does such a good job of hinting at this earlier on, without even realizing it yet, and subtly explaining the game and the intricacies of their future without flat out dumbing it down for you. At the end of the game, you manage to get the last sign of humanity onto a hard drive after ironically killing the last of actual humanity, and launching it into space. With him and Catherine on the ship, what Simon doesn't realize is that at the end of the upload, both he and us as an audience get to experience what losing the coin toss is like.
I'm still here. I'm still here. Catherine? Catherine?
I'm here.
What the hell happened? What went wrong?
Nothing. They're out there, among the stars. We're here.
No.
We were getting on the Ark, I saw it. It finished loading just before it launched.
Yeah, I saw.
Then why are we still here?
Simon, I can't keep telling you how it works. You won't listen. You know why we're here. You were copied onto the Ark. You just didn't carry over. You lost the coin toss. We both did. Just like Simon at Omicron, just like the man who died in Toronto 100 years ago.
Although he's on the ship with Catherine and everyone else, his copy is the one who gets to live on, as we, the copy of the copy, get to stay behind. Simon, in a fit of anger, causes Catherine's chip to malfunction, leaving him alone in the ocean for eternity.
No. Fuck this! Fuck this! Fuck you! Fuck you, Catherine! You lied! And I believed in you! I trusted you! You said we're getting on the fucking Ark!
We are on the Ark, you idiot! I didn't lie! I can't be responsible for your goddamn ignorance! You
Fuck! Catherine? Please don't leave me alone. Catherine? Catherine?
Now, it may not be fair to compare a game like Fallout New Vegas to the others, due to Fallout New Vegas' massive playthrough, due to the styles you can choose to complete the game, as well as a variety of different endings. But there's something special about Fallout New Vegas that has it stand out compared to all the other Fallout games. Maybe it's because it was made by Obsidian instead of Bethesda, and Obsidian actually knows how to make a competent Fallout game. But I just feel like Fallout New Vegas is a breath of fresh air when it comes to how Fallout games should be presented to the players. The game starts you off as a courier that has been brought into a bad situation. You end up being shot in the head by a gangster named Benny and are thrown into this post-apocalyptic wasteland with the task of finding the man who killed you. After meeting a wide range of characters and defeating a variety of monsters and enemies, you end up in New Vegas where you meet back up with Benny. Here the game gives you a variety of ways to decide how to deal with him. You can either work with him, which results in him betraying you, or you can choose to sleep with him and kill him in his sleep if you're a woman. Instead of the traditional method of just dealing with the problem with guns, you can choose to talk your way out of things, or kill them in a variety of different ways. The game does a good job of not forcing you into a narrative such as the other Fallout games. Fallout 4 is a good example. Throughout the game, all of your decisions you make or who you decide to align with all leads back to you finding your child. So the game sort of forces you to follow this story that's given to you rather than throw you into this world and you decide what you want to do. And of course, I mean, you don't have to immediately find your child. You can do other side quests. It seems that all the side quests don't really matter to the story at all. Fallout 3 is similar to Fallout 4, but does a little bit better job of actually having you explore the world, but still has that problem of guiding you towards that one problem that's presented at the beginning. I've played through Fallout New Vegas about 4 times and completed all the DLCs at least twice, and I've not felt like each playthrough was the same. This is mainly due to how well crafted the game's dialogue is and the amount they have in the game just in case you choose to have a different playstyle. I feel like I can always come back to Fallout New Vegas and have a completely different experience than when I last played it. While other games like Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 put you in a story mode type game that really limits you to what you can actually do and breaks the immersion of an actual open world adventure. And even though you can choose a variety of different playstyles, it seems like every situation feels the exact same and doesn't allow you to use what your character's good at to their advantage. If you haven't played Fallout New Vegas yet, I highly recommend playing it if you want hours of entertainment through a variety of different playthroughs. Just a little heads up, I do bring up spoilers from other Walking Dead games, so if you haven't played any of the other games and want to experience things for the first time, I'd recommend skipping this part. The Walking Dead series seems to be a very mixed bag among fans of either the show or the comic. They either love it or hate it, but for me personally, the Walking Dead games have been some of my favorite games Telltale has ever released. The first game has you playing as Lee Everett, a man arrested for killing his wife's lover. He gets thrown into a zombie apocalypse and meets a little girl named Clementine. Throughout the game, you're tasked with keeping her alive and doing anything necessary to make sure she's safe. You meet characters in your group, some better than others, Ben and Larry, and you try to make it out of the city. Towards the end of the game, Lee gets bit and it's up to Clementine to learn how to survive in the new world with the little training Lee has given her. The rest of the game has you playing as Clementine, going from group to group, tasked with staying alive and eventually keeping your own child alive, becoming more like Lee towards the end of the games. One of the things The Walking Dead does extremely well is building the connection to Clementine as a character. They do this by actually being with her and progressing with her as she grows up and learns more about how to survive in this new world. The relationship between Lee and Clementine is arguably one of the greatest in video game history. You feel so much emotion throughout the first game between him and Clem, and see her mold into a badass survivor. Each game has its own characters that you grow attached to and have to inevitably deal with their death. One of the hardest for me personally was Kenny's. At the beginning of the game, you meet him as this loving father and husband who's willing to do anything to keep his family alive, similar to Lee. And throughout the Walking Dead game, he pretty much loses everything he cares about and is assumed dead when he sacrifices himself to save Krista. In the middle of the second game, you're reunited with Kenny, who seems to have it all together again. He's found a group and even's found a new girlfriend. Everything seems to be going okay up until he loses the one thing that's been keeping him sane in this world. And this is inevitably what breaks him. This man has been broken to a point to where we as the player have to decide if he's mentally stable enough to survive in this world, or if we have to kill the one closest form of family throughout 2 games. This leads me to one of the best features of Telltale games that sadly didn't hold up in later games. And I'm talking about player choice. Throughout the first game, every choice you make actually has an impact, and even the smallest decisions in the game can determine how later situations turn out. This kind of thing is perfectly represented when the group encounters an abandoned vehicle full of food and clothing. Knowing it most likely belongs to a family, we can either decide to take everything or leave it. It's a hard choice, but I can bet you 9 out of 10 players decide, well, fuck that family, they're most likely dead anyway. I mean, there's no need for it to go to waste. But later on in the game, Clementine gets captured by a man and he recognizes the jacket she's wearing, and here we come face to face with our consequences.
A few weeks back, there might have been a station wagon in the forest, full of all sorts of food, water, things you need to survive. Yeah. I'm not some cannibal, Lee. Some killer out in the woods. Some villain. I'm just a dad. I coach Little League.
That one choice you made results in a man losing his family, and it's not dealt with until the worst possible moment. And this is mainly on part to why the other games aren't as popular as the first one. It's because in the later games, no matter what decision you make, every result ends up the same. And it sort of defeats the purpose of you choosing your own adventure if every decision you make pretty much leads to the exact same thing. This is mainly on par with why the third game didn't hold up as well as the first 2. Because they pretty much turned Clem into a side character. The issue was not that we played as Javi, hell I was even on board with having a different story, but having Clem show up in the first quarter of the game completely ruins the immersion of the game, and as people like me who's played alongside her the first 2 games care more about her than the person I'm playing as. The third game was pretty much a build-up for the final season, and it shows while playing the game. Since the story is constantly moving around, the chance to connect with characters and get to know them is rushed due to the constant conflict in the game. I don't want to go too far off topic, but the main thing to take away from this is that the first 2 games did a great job of character connection and storytelling, while the other games did have moments like this, but was pretty much rushed due to the story and the fact that Telltale was becoming bankrupt at the time. But all the problems of the other games are for another video, and I'm not even going to talk about this game. I could literally rant for an hour about how underdeveloped, how useless, and how pointless that game was, but I don't have the time. Going back on topic, The Walking Dead is just a whole journey from beginning to end, and was one of the first games that emotionally affected me while playing it. And let me tell you, that is not an easy task to do. I could go on and on for days about how well crafted the characters and the story are, and how many little details you can find while playing through multiple playthroughs, but I think playing the game will give you a pretty good idea. Thank you so much if you managed to make it through this entire video. This video in particular has taken me a very long time to make. Not because of the amount of work that goes into it, but honestly just mostly mental stuff. I've been really busy with real life stuff and I've just been burnt out on making videos. But I told myself I would get done with this before January of 2022, so hopefully if everything works out, you'll be seeing this before the end of January. I hope I can make more of these videos because I really enjoy making them, and even though I'm not really the most articulate when it comes to my words, I feel like if I put the time and actually structure them into, then I can get across what I'm trying to say. But with that being said, most of these games on here are mainly just to show my appreciation for them. A lot of these games I've played at least 3 or 4 times over again, just mainly the fact that I enjoy playing them and they just hold a deep place in my heart. But if you guys feel that other games have replayability to you, feel free to let me know why in the comments. I'd really love to hear them. So yeah, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I did making it, and make sure to like the video, share it, and yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace.